Hey there everyone, welcome back to Utility Sports. Really excited to be covering the new Dallas Mavericks guard, Max Christie, after his debut with the Dallas Mavericks. All in all, I thought he had a very strong game. Despite the loss to Philadelphia, he actually finished the game as a positive plus-minus in his first ever action as a Dallas Maverick, and was able to as well record 15 points on 4 3-pointers made, shot only 4 3-pointers as well, so he went perfect from behind the line in his Dallas Mavericks debut. Got active on the glass as well as dished out 3 assists in his first ever action with Dallas. So I think there was a lot of positives from the overall box score, but of course the entire point of this video is to break down what we actually saw on film. What did I notice watching him in his first ever action for Dallas? What did they ask him to do? Where did they utilize him on the court? There were a few things that I was really impressed with, but the first thing I really want to talk about is his all-around play. At first, what you're going to see here is him getting active on the offensive glass, specifically trying to crash. Now, he doesn't get the putback to go there, but again, the activity, crashing out of the corner, that's one thing that was really essential to me early in his debut. Dallas was playing him out of the corner a ton, which is not surprising. By the way, if you guys do enjoy the content, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Dallas is going to have Max Christie play out of the corner as a 3-and-D kind of guard. That's naturally where he's going to play on the floor off of Kyrie Irving quite a bit, off of Spencer Dinwiddie. And then he's also very active and cerebral. Not only was he active on the defensive glass as well, I think activity is a great way to describe him, but then he was also making plays happen with the mental component of the game. Driving kick, understanding how the defense is going to rotate. Had a nice kick out to Klay Thompson in the corner here. Nice jump stop into the middle of the paint. Probes the defense, ultimately gets the ball out to Dante Exum where you force a closeout. I want to go back to this one specifically. This is the type of assist where, and it actually comes off of his shooting gravity, by the way. So after this Klay Thompson three-pointer, you're going to see what kind of closeout he generates here. A hard one from Ricky Council. Now he gets to 2 feet. This isn't a flashy assist. This isn't the type of assist that Mavericks fans are accustomed to seeing watching Luka Doncic, where you say, oh my goodness, that pass was on a string across the court. What a dish. This is a pretty standard pass, but what makes it so effective and what makes Max Christie such an effective role player in the NBA is doing the right thing and doing the right thing consistently, getting to 2 feet in the paint, drawing in the defense. When you kick it out to other NBA players, you're going to force closeouts, which is exactly what happens here in this clip. Kelly Oubre's off balance, and it puts Dante Exum in advantage. And that's the entire key to NBA basketball specifically, and I think Max Christie is a huge positive in that regard, because when you look at his ability as a shooter as well, in this situation, Kyrie Irving is taking Reggie Jackson off the dribble, off of the left slot. Tyrese Maxey is playing pretty aggressive nail help, which is what you will expect to see against Kyrie Irving frequently. With the Mavericks spacing here, this is very typical. This is what they were doing with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. This is now what they're going to continue to do. In this example here, Christie's not in the corner, but is off of the right slot, the opposite wing, essentially from where Kyrie Irving is now driving toward the middle of the floor. This positioning that Dallas has with Kyler Kelly in the weak side dunker spot puts a lot of pressure on the on-ball defender on Reggie Jackson and the most immediate help defender, which is, in this case, Tyrese Maxey. Max Christie, understanding this, has a slight relocation. That relocation gives him a little bit of extra space, which Kyrie Irving, one of the more underrated playmakers in the NBA, just a very cerebral player himself, I think really has found that balance in his career of being a creator for himself and for others. And Christie catches, loads up. This is one of the things I really love about his shooting specifically. He's going to be a more consistent shooter than other Mavericks shooting variants we've had in the past, like Tim Hardaway Jr., for example, because of his reliability in his footwork, getting to a strong base, ultimately rising up and cashing his first three-point shot as a Dallas Maverick. Later on, kind of again, same positioning, this time the high ball screen. Dante Exum snakes the screen, ultimately putting Reggie Jackson in chase as Daniel Gafford's going to start diving to the rim. And again, the nail help here from Kelly Oubre, kind of a half effort, not the best defensive possession here from Kelly Oubre, but again, relocation skills from Max Christie. Now, ultimately, nothing comes from that. Exum doesn't make that kick out pass to him, but once Exum retouches the basketball, you're going to see a ghost screen. This is something Dallas looked to use Max Christie in a ton, where it looks like he's going to come up to set the screen, and this puts the Sixers defense on alert. Of course, Reggie Jackson, concerned about this screen, is either going to try and get close to the body of Dante Exum or willingly switch with Kelly Oubre. Now, Oubre, who's out of position a little bit early here, the entire point of this, now Reggie Jackson knows he has to try and fight over the screen because Oubre's out of position. As a result, the quick ghost screen from Max Christie gets him a ton of separation. Again, look at that footwork. Very strong base, very sturdy, and gets a good look here. Again, early transition. This is just heads-up basketball and kind of points to probably some of the problems with Philadelphia this year. Just a miscommunication here. They inbounded the ball off the baseline even, which is unacceptable. And again, Christie really showcased his shooting touch in this one. Again, going 4 of 4 from 3. Here's another driving kick. This one resets out to Klay Thompson. And now this is a scouting report situation right here. Tyrese Maxey stuck between two. This is, again, bad communication, bad half-court defense from Philadelphia. This is going to happen throughout the course of a game. Sometimes you get in rotation. Sometimes your matchups get a little wonky after a switch or something, and you end up losing track of who you're actually supposed to be guarding. It happens more often than you think it should, but it really does. Now, if you're Tyrese Maxey here, Max Christie's got the ball at the top of the key, but look who's to his left. It is Kyrie Irving. So, of course, Tyrese Maxey knows the scouting report. Don't leave Kyrie Irving wide open. And this is where the three-point shooting of Max Christie is going to be a huge, huge, huge weapon. All in all, really great performance. Again, I want to go back to this very first one, though. This is the most essential one, these relocation tools. You need to have these tools to be a good NBA player, especially as an off-ball shooter. Max Christie displaying them there. And I think those tools specifically are going to breathe a ton of life into his driving game as well, which you're going to see. You saw earlier on some of those playmaking clips that I showed with in his all-around game, kind of the package of getting 2 feet to the paint, making plays off of that. Watch this here. He's relocating up as Tyrese Maxey's the low man help on Kyler Kelly. Now on this, we get a strong closeout. Again, a lot of basketball is about advantage creation. How many closeouts can you force per possession? Because the more you can force, the more likely it is at some point in the possession your guy's going to be able to beat a closeout and attack off the dribble from that perspective. Now, this is what I love right here. Max Christie, a little jab step right, kind of resets the balance here. Now, of course, you look at Tyrese Maxey, he's trying to cut off the baseline, which, a lot of NBA defenses should be forcing no middle. Here, Maxey's forcing to the middle. I don't really love that, but it is to Christie's left hand, so maybe that's part of it. But that little rip and go is an extremely effective move. Now, Christie gets walled up here by Gershon Yabusele. This is really, really strong defense from Yabusele. But again, a very, very good take overall. Let's play it in full speed just so you guys can get the full understanding. Again, a little bit of relocation tools, lifts up, attacks that closeout really aggressively, has a really strong take to the rim. This is better defense from Yabusele. That's a tough finish at the rack. But you love the area of the floor Christie's getting to and how effectively and quickly, especially, he's getting there. Now, it doesn't, again, finish in this situation, but I think this is what people are really going to be curious in. Max Christie's defense. And the first possession, what I'm showing here, is how Dallas approached the game on Tuesday night against Philadelphia defensively. Joel Embiid catching in the mid-post here against Klay Thompson. Obviously a mismatch. Dallas goes to immediately double, and they double from the top side. What that does is it's going to put Dallas into rotation. I think the game plan was really, really good here from Jason Kidd. Now, again, Dallas ultimately did not win. And this is a clutch possession here. 48 seconds left in the game. The ball swings up to Tyrese Maxey. Kyrie Irving in a closeout here. Does a pretty good job, at least containing the basketball initially. And look at Max Christie on the weak side. Has the wherewithal to rotate up. This is, again, good team defense. He just joined the team. This is his very first action with the team, and he has an understanding of these defensive rotations. Now, this is a pretty standard defensive rotation. This isn't like super incredible high-level stuff, but with the creativity of some of the guys here, Najee Marshall most specifically, and the defensive playmaking ability, I think Christie in rotation, that was what really stood out to me in night one of his Mavericks career. He was all over the place in a good way, making a bunch of different plays, being in the passing lanes a little bit, trying to at least be disruptive, and then also just being timely in his rotations, being in the right place at the right time because he understands the rotations and is a true veteran. Even though he's still a young player, only 2 years of experience, he understands what's being asked of him. I think if you're looking at a 3-and-D player, it's not just point of attack defense, you're talking about team defense. How does he fit in an overall team context defensively? So far, the early returns for Max Christie's Mavericks debut is really, really, really good. And then when it comes to defensive screen navigation, here he stays attached to Tyrese Maxey, ultimately forces the turnover. I want to go back earlier in this clip. Here we are. He fights over the top of that Embiid screen, and ultimately what he does is forces the ball to change direction here. Maxey ultimately picks up his dribble, gets off of it, and then from there, Embiid fumbles the basketball. Christie's able to get downhill now. Again, doesn't finish this, but does get to the free throw line. Again, Christie, I think there was a lot of real positives from his early debut. Here again, the Mavericks are forcing the ball out of Embiid's hands with a double team. Also, Dallas played quite a bit of zone. This is one of my favorite defensive possessions of the entire game for either team. And this was a huge Max Christie possession defensively. Christie rotates up from the corner, a really strong closeout, gets those feet fires in so that he's able to be mobile and able to change direction on the fly. And this is a brilliant cutoff here. Now, Maxey does a great job creating space with that step back, but look at the shot contest here still from Max Christie. Really incredible, impressive stuff. The change of direction tools, the ability to get in front and cut off, and then also crash back on the defensive glass was all impressive. And then here another one. In the zone, Dallas looking to double from the top side against Joel Embiid. Christie's the original man on Embiid in this situation, and you can tell Embiid just wasn't super comfortable against this throughout the night on occasion. Throws the ball away there. My favorite possession, again here though, really stems from this early possession here after the free throw clips. If you look at this one again, I just want to highlight again. Rotates up, his big hands are up, he's active. Activity. That continues to be the big thing for me here. Describing Max Christie in his Mavericks debut, getting on the glass, making plays in a variety of different ways. I really, really love that. But I do have some negatives, and this is kind of an overall discussion on the way that Nico Harrison's trying to build this team. Obviously, Mavs fans are stunned. Mavs fans are upset that Luka Doncic is a Los Angeles Laker. I find myself in that camp as well. As a Mavericks fan, I'm not happy. But it doesn't mean that this team isn't good. I think the Mavericks as a whole team are very good right now. Anthony Davis is going to make this team a whole lot better too when he makes his Mavericks debut, which I'll have a video out as well, what we see from him. First of all, I love this screen navigation from Max Christie. This is called staying attached. If you do your work early, if you're in position early, you're going to be in position late. Max Christie does a great job, although loses Maxey here on the get back. This is a pistol action, but again, navigates the screen well, fights underneath, understanding where he's at on the floor. But sometimes good offense is just too good. And this is, again, where the context of trying to build a great team defense, sometimes that might not be enough. Even here, Kyler Kelly and drop. This is where if you have Anthony Davis, if you have Derek Lively, this stuff's all going to look a little bit better. So I'm not overly concerned. Here he is trying to ice some of these screens, force Maxey to his left hand, but Maxey's just such an incredibly talented player. He had a brilliant night against Dallas despite some of Max Christie's efforts in his debut. Again, I think another good clip here as well. Defending Maxey, who is the inbounder in this example. Maxey comes up, rejects the actual screen handoff from Yabusele, and turns back baseline. One of the difficulties, I talked earlier about how a lot of defenses try and take away the middle. If you do give up the baseline, some of these players, especially the quicker guards like a Tyrese Maxey, are able to take that corner, turn it, and get the edge and win that battle a lot of the time. So that is one of the kind of disappointing factors here. Maxey maybe gets away with a little bit of a push-off to create this early space. Again, really good cutoff here, but this is where good offense just beats good defense a lot of the time in the NBA. Mavericks fans, you know all about this. You've seen Luka Doncic do this to opponents all of the time. Look at Maxey here. We'll watch this one full speed. Leaves Max Christie in the dust. Maxey had a fantastic offensive night, and I think for my overall thoughts when it comes to the film study, first of all, I thought Max Christie was very impressive. Offensively, fit like a glove into what Dallas is looking to do. They wanted connective pieces around Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis. Max Christie was a tremendous get in the Luka Doncic trade. I didn't spend enough time talking about him when the actual trade went down. Of course, I was in complete, utter disbelief. I did not think Luka Doncic would ever be traded by the Dallas Mavericks on their own terms. I thought it would be really hinging from a Doncic trade request. That clearly just did not happen, and I was shook by it. I point blank was very shook. But Christie is a good player. He's not a nothing in this trade. He's actually a pretty significant piece given his youth, his contract situation, and the way that Dallas is trying to build their team, which really centers, again, on a defense-first mentality now. Now, I still have concerns about that kind of ideology. You know, I watched Minnesota last year, up close and personal in the conference finals. I was there in person for 3 of the 5 games. I was there for when Luka Doncic got Rudy Gobert in isolation and hit a game winner. I was there in Game 5 when the Mavericks dominated, again, down the stretch of that game and ultimately clinched a berth to the NBA Finals. Defense is awesome. Defense was a huge calling card for Minnesota last year. It wasn't enough against a really great, heavy offensive team like Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. So for Dallas, do I have these same concerns going forward? I do. It's going to be hard for them to score the basketball at the same rate that other teams are capable. While you have Anthony Davis and Derek Lively right now, who knows what else happens at the trade deadline, but the team's offense, unless they get Kevin Durant suddenly, just is not going to have enough firepower, in my opinion, to keep up with Oklahoma City. And it's really, really difficult to see anyone on Dallas effectively shutting down someone like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, your team context might be able to do that, but that means you're probably leaving Chet Holmgren open for three. You might be giving up a heavy dosage of threes to Isaiah Joe. So I think there's, a variety of different ways that a team like OKC or Denver could beat them. Now, Denver might be a better matchup for Dallas at this point because they have more size, they have more length and athleticism. And of course, Denver doesn't shoot the three ball very well. So I think overall, the Mavericks are a good team. That's, I think, one of my most important takeaways just from, how this whole Luka thing has gone down. The Mavericks, well, I think they long-term got fleeced because you traded a 25-year-old superstar top 3 player in the sport for a 31-year-old top 15, top 20 player in the sport. I don't love that trade in a vacuum, but I don't think the Mavericks are a bad team. And I think that's the thing you have to remember. I think this hurts the Dallas Mavericks long term. I think this overall Luka Doncic trade is not good for them and is not a trade I would have made at all. But I do think this team is pretty good on its own merit. But I think heavily indexing on defense is a risky game. And I think Maxey tonight kind of proved why that can be a problem. Even though Philadelphia hasn't been good this year with Embiid on the court and Maxey on the court, this team is still very offensively talented. And they gave Dallas some fits. And even though Christie had some awesome defensive possessions, Maxey won the battle in a lot of ways too. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought of Max Christie's debut. Overall, if I had to rate it, I'd say it's a 9 out of 10. It's a very impressive debut, for sure. I think Christie is going to be a core centerpiece for Dallas moving forward, both now and ultimately the long-term future of the Mavericks too. So at least Christie's been a good early indicator. There's a lot of good early indicators. Of course, was playing out of his mind as well in LA, had been plus 21s in back-to-back games there. So I'm a big believer in Max Christie. I think he's a talented player. Is he Luka Doncic? No. But nonetheless, he's going to be a good piece for Dallas going forward the rest of this year. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.